Did you know that, in the beginning, people traded cows for grains? Or that in ancient Rome, iron coins were used for payment? Sounds strange, right? But that's how money started its long journey to what we know today. Let's take a trip through time to uncover the fascinating story behind the money in your wallet. The story of money begins thousands of years ago, when early civilizations first emerged. Imagine a time when there were no coins or paper money. How did people exchange goods and services? The answer, barter. But was bartering really efficient? Not exactly. Before the invention of money, if you had something to offer, you had to find someone willing to trade it. But what if the other person didn't want what you were offering? Or worse, what if the value you placed on your goods wasn't the same as theirs? That created a lot of problems. So, society started looking for more practical solutions. The solution came with the use of precious metals like gold, silver, and copper. These materials were durable, easy to carry, and held value. Around the 7th century BC, in Lydia, modern-day Turkey, the first coins were minted. They were made of a mix of gold and silver called electrum. Coins were revolutionary. With them, it became much easier to measure the value of transactions, and the problems of barter began to disappear. Coins spread throughout the Persian Empire and soon found their way to Greece and Rome. But in the 7th century, in far-off China, something even more impressive emerged: paper money. During the Tang Dynasty, Chinese merchants began using paper notes as a form of payment. These notes, initially used as receipts for money stored in banks, soon became widely accepted as currency. This idea spread to the rest of the world, especially after European explorers began making contact with the East. By the 15th century, paper money was adopted in Europe, and the commercial revolution saw the emergence of new forms of payment. By the early 15th century, the first banks emerged, helping to create a more structured financial system. Banks began issuing their own paper money, and people could deposit their wealth safely. These banks also began lending money, which helped fund large projects and trade. However, the biggest shift came in the 19th century with the advent of the gold standard. This meant that banks and governments had a certain amount of gold in reserve to back the value of their notes. The gold standard created a direct link between money and a physical resource, bringing more stability to financial markets. The 20th century brought many changes. During the two world wars and the Great Depression, many countries had to abandon the gold standard, meaning money was no longer directly tied to a physical resource, but instead relied on the trust people had in governments and economies. From then on, money became what we call fiat currency, meaning its value is based not on gold or silver, but on the trust people have in it. Paper money was no longer backed by precious metals, but rather by the stability of the economy and government. And today, we live in the age of digital money. Credit cards, bank transfers, and payment apps have changed how we make transactions. With the invention of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, the idea of money without intermediaries like banks is gaining momentum. These innovations are reshaping the way we think about money, and who knows what the future holds. Will physical money disappear altogether and digital money become the norm? From bartering to cryptocurrencies, money has come a long way. Each step reflects a shift in the world's economy, and we're just starting to understand how money will evolve in the future. One thing is certain: the concept of money goes beyond coins and bills. It's about trust, value, and how people connect with each other. Thanks for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating stories about how the world works.